My name's Taylor Pack. My video for Immunology Exam 2 is on the inflammatory response of the innate immune system. Okay, so here I've drawn the skin, the outer layers of the skin, the underlayers, which are the first line of defense against pathogens. Underneath the skin, there are many different tissue phagocytic cells, like dendritic cells, tissue macrophages, and mast cells. Also underneath the skin are blood vessels, many blood vessels actually. This is just a large one that I've drawn so you can see inside of it. So inside the blood vessels are red blood cells, or erythrocytes. There are white blood cells, known as leukocytes, monocytes, and neutrophils. Also, there are various proteins such as plasmids and kinins. I'll just draw it as a P and a K here. So these are all going through the bloodstream. Okay, so the nail here has penetrated the skin, which is the first line of defense. So then bacteria here enter the system. So on the outside, I've drawn PAMPs, pathogen-associated molecular patterns, which can be recognized by the PPR on the mast cell here. So when the PAMPs are recognized by the PPRs, the mast cell releases histamine. So histamine causes vasodilation. You can see that better, okay. And it increases permeability of the blood vessel walls. So here I'm going to move down. So as you can see here, there we go. As you can see here, vasodilation has caused the blood vessel walls to expand and increase the permeability here. So the cells are not as tightly as packed, so it can allow things to move through. Okay, so we can see that now. So back up to here. The macrophages can also recognize the PAMPs here of the bacteria. So when it recognizes the PAMPs, it can release cytokines. And cytokines, similar to histamine, also increase permeability . Okay, and it also attracts leukocytes. Or white blood cells. Okay, so down here we can see that the walls are more permeable, so that causes an increase in the blood flow. So because of that, there's an increase in blood, and increase in leukocytes, or the white blood cells, cause the pain, the redness, the swelling, and the heat around the site of infection here. So I talked about earlier the monocytes that are inside the blood vessels, and here the neutrophils inside the blood vessels. So because of the increase of permeability, because of the histamine, these monocytes can now be released from inside, and once they are outside of the blood vessel, they become macrophages, phagocytic macrophages. Okay, so let me put arrows here so you can see what's going on. Okay, so neutrophils can also be released. Okay, so these macrophages, let me write what that is, are now inside. They're no longer, the macrophages, because these are released now, a cool process called opsonization can occur. So let me draw the bacteria here. Okay, so opsonization, as we learned with the complement system, the C3b proteins that have been cleaved from C3 coat the outside here, which I drew these as PPRs earlier, but now these are C3bs on that outside here. So the C3bs coat the outer surface of the pathogen, and then that can cause an increase in phagocytosis of the macrophages. Makes the pathogen more tasty, so the macrophage wants to eat it more readily. Okay, so earlier I also talked about the plasmids and the kinins that are inside the blood vessel. So the plasmids and the kinins can call on they cause a group of complement proteins to interact. So let me draw that here. Plasmids and kinins. So they call on a group of complement proteins. Cause them to interact. So this interaction of complement proteins initiates the complement system. Okay, so the complement system, when it's initiated, it can cause the opsonization that I talked about earlier. Which is the macrophage recognizing the pathogen and phagocytosis because of the macrophages. Okay, so the complement system can also initiate the membrane attack complex, which is formed on the surface of a pathogen here. So the different proteins create a circular system here, and they poke a hole in the membrane of the pathogen. So that increases fluid to rush in, and because of the increase in fluid, the pathogen lyses, or it bursts. So that's a very broad overview. So to kind of put it into a chronological order, because it's kind of confusing because there's so much going on at once. So the site of injury causes a coagulation. The mast cell receptor recognizes the bacteria, it releases the histamine. So the histamine release causes vasodilation of the blood vessels and also an increased permeability of the walls of the blood vessels. So the inflammatory mediators are called upon, Mr. Plasmin and Mr. Kinin. So those, after that, let's see. The phagocytes destroy the pathogen, and that can release the cytokines, and the cytokines, like histamine, increase permeability and also attracts the leukocytes, the white blood cells. Then the complement system is initiated, and like I said, the complement system can cause opsonization, or it can cause the membrane attack complex to poke holes in the surface of the pathogen and cause the pathogen to lyse.